Hey guys, it's TF Nut. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing a little bit of a different kind of review. This is going to be of the DL Customs Volume 1 Superhero A Realm of Anger Custom Head Sculpt Set. Very excited to finally have this. If you're not familiar with what's going on here, these are basically third-party custom head sculpt heads for the SH Figuarts Dragon Ball Super Superhero Ultimate Gohan figure. So these heads were announced, I think, a little bit after Gamma 1 and 2 went up for pre-order on Premium Bandai, actually. And these are made by, let's see if I believe the Instagram accounts are actually on the side. I believe it's two different people because there's two different accounts here. But as you can see, Char 1997 L and Fang Customs. From what I've seen, they've done a very great job with these different head sculpts here. So I got the Super Saiyan one. Like I said, it's called A Realm of Anger. They also have basically a Beast Gohan head sculpt as well. I knew that Tamashii Nations was going to make a Beast Gohan figure themselves, so I decided not to get that head sculpt and wait for that. They also made a normal set of head sculpts for Gohan, which, yes, the normal Gohan figure comes with those. But these this head sculpt that you're seeing on screen right now, that's going to fit more in the style that was sculpted for the DL custom stuff compared to the rest of it. They're all pretty stylized, and they don't exactly match with what is sculpted with the Tamashii Nations release. So I decided to get this head sculpt set here because, look, the Gammas were fine characters from the movie, and those figures looked fine, but I didn't like those figures, or characters enough, I should say, to buy $140+ worth of figures just for the Gohan parts. I wasn't about to do that. So my second option was to pay $35 plus $5 shipping. Pre-ordered these, I think, a little bit after the pre-order dropped, actually. And they extended this pre-order as long as they could have. These are no longer in stock, unfortunately. That's not to say they won't do a second run, but as of now, the only place you could have gotten them is Omnime Store. They had a pre-order window for a long time, and these are officially sold out. I missed out on the other two. I didn't necessarily need them, but I really wanted a Super Saiyan head sculpt for my Gohan figure, even though it's going to look a little bit different than what the base Gohan faces look. I guess the B here is to signify that is, I guess when they're making this, that this is going to be a Super Saiyan one. So you've been seeing this box for a little bit while. It's just, their own printing on this box here, and it does not look bad at all. They do have warnings right here. Just gonna quickly show that off to you there. Pretty good. So let's go ahead and back out here. I'm gonna go ahead and open this all the way up. If I had a flat surface, I could open this up. But I think these boxes are meant to be thrown away because they're not really the most. They just say DL Customs. These aren't bad boxes, but there's no really big reason to display these if you ask me. What we do have, though, is this tray that you can see here. Clear plastic. You can see all the contents there. Let's get a little bit of a closer look at these contents here. These head sculpts look really good, and they still kind of capture the Dragon Ball style really well, actually. These head hair pieces right here looking very similar to how the approach is done with the base Gohan figure that we have. So I'm going to pop these out really quick and pop this on the head. And here is a 360. You can see the full body shot here with this head sculpt and the neutral stern face on this figure. And fitting it on here is a bit of a tight snug, but I do think that this head sculpt actually looks very good on here. I have seen the images of the officially released Tamashii Nations Gamma 1 or Gamma 2, I can't remember which one exactly came with those, but the Super Saiyan head from those. I do think the colors of the hair look a little bit better on that one here, but I think the face plates on this particular set that you're seeing here, I think are done incredibly well, and you get just, I think, like one extra here compared to what you would have gotten with the official release, I should say, the Premium Bandai release. So this is a really nice headset. I do have just some minor nitpicks of the overall execution, but this is still a really decent set. It is really well done. Let's go ahead and take a look at each of these different face plates, and then we'll take a look at the hair as well. So a little bit later, we will pop these heads back on this body. But the assembly is pretty simple. First of all, it comes packaged, these separate pieces. And they actually have pretty similar approaches, of course, to how the other Gohan head, the Tamashii release. I keep calling it Tamashii release. How that works. It sticks up in here, and then you have pieces that stick in there. Now, I feel like I have to keep pushing in because it feels like there's a little too much gappage. You can see I'm not a big fan of what gappage is going on here. If you push the face down, which you can, then there's gappage in the head. So I would rather have gappage towards the ear here than at the top of the head where the hairline is. There really is no problem with gappage. Maybe a little bit, but not as bad as the other side with this head here. But looking at this hair first, I think the actual hair is done really well. We do have mostly, I think it's mostly molded in a yellow. It actually could be molded in a white plastic, I think. And then they started painting it yellow. There's different accents of yellow. It might be a little bit subtle, but there's lighter yellow, some of the tips here, and then darker yellow when you're getting towards like the actual head, towards the scalp. And then we have a little bit of those sideburns right there. This little piece sticking out right here. All this is a pretty tough plastic. There is a potential that if you push things around too much, things could break. But this head sculpt, and the face sculpt I should say, the actual sculpting of it is really nice, and the printing on here, I honestly think the printing is Tamashii quality. Like, it's a different art style, of course, so these aren't actually going to fit too well with each other, I would say. Artistically, I guess. These do almost, at some points, they kind of look a little bit of a different character, but the actual printing on here, just look at the Tamashii Nation's head on the right, and look what we have here. This actually looks really good. So I don't have any complaints there. I think what they did with, underneath the eyes here, the eyebrows, that paint is really clean. These the eyebrows are really nicely done. The teal eyes, that looks pretty great too. And then we do have a little bit of paint, just mostly like a mouth, just a line for the mouth sculpted in there. One thing I noticed, this nose, the sculpting on here is really tiny, and I don't know if I ever mentioned how it's done with the normal release, but that's also a pretty tiny nose. They almost got it exactly. It's not something I'm going to knock too much, but part of me feels like one piece that will get bent on accident or get scuffed is the nose. Trying to push this face in and trying to move it around and all that. So keep that in mind. The ear sculpts, I think, are also really clean. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show off what it's going to look like with another face sculpt here. Pop this off. And then you'll just pop this one on here as well. This head sculpt, or this face plate, I should say, I keep saying head sculpts. These are face plates, people. What is wrong with me? I'm trying to see where, there we go. The face plate here, this is more of like a left look. It's still a stern expression, but it's looking off to the left more. I actually don't think this one, if I push it up a little bit, I could be wrong actually. This one has a little bit of a gap still here, if I could try to fix that later, but there's not that much of a gap on either side with the ears, so that's cool. Looking left, yeah, that's going to be really sick for certain poses there. Let's see if I could pop another one on here. I could always just cut away, but we're doing this particular section in one take, baby. Let's see, popping this back on here. This is the angry, gritting teeth face sculpt. This one's fantastic. A little bit of creasing. I need to look at the images again. I'm not entirely sure. There's one eyebrow scrunch right there. I feel like there should be another one, but I have to go back again and check. That is a little weird that I'm seeing that now. And I look, okay. Based on this on my phone, it's supposed to look like that. Okay, so we're good. A little weird that they chose to do it like that, but it's supposed to be like that, so we're good. The gritting teeth here, this also looks really nice. I don't have the gritting teeth from the normal Gohan heads, but one thing I will mention that Tamashii Nations does a little bit better than these. I think the actual detailing of teeth and the mouth that they've done is a little bit better than the DL Customs release. But what we have here still has some really clean paint on there. And there's very little gappage here at this head. So it was really just that normal, straight, stern, looking face that has a weird gap for some reason. This one might also as well. Popping this on here. This is the awesome action screaming head here. Push that up a little bit. Yeah, a little bit of a gap, but not too bad. So we have this screaming head here, and this particular head I have right now is also a screaming head. I think that the actual sculpt and detailing and the paint, well, the paint's fine on the DL Customs, but I think it's just done a little bit better on the Tamashii Nation release. It is a professional company doing that. But it's not too bad still. It just looks, I wouldn't say the sculpting is plain. It's just not as well in depth or detailed like the Tamashii Nations one. But there's still some pretty decent paint, the black in the mouth and the white of the teeth and the tongue there, all that is separated. I think I could see a very tiny red-white speck separating a little bit in the black, but I can't get that, and it's not very noticeable. But this screaming head, I really enjoy a lot. So this might be one of my more favorite faces of this whole set here. And if you want to know how easy it is to pop this head on here with the body, it's a little difficult because the hair is kind of spiky, and also I'm doing this behind a camera. But it fits in there. I've taken this off a couple times by now. The very first time I did it, it was a pretty snug fit. But now it doesn't look too bad. One thing I do want to mention, I can tell they've done as best as they can, but it does look like the skin tone on the face is, and I mean like maybe 5% when I say this, a tiny bit mismatched with the rest of the neck. In some lighting, you can't tell. In person, it still looks like the neck is a little bit glossy. There's still a little bit of a glossy finish on this face and the other faces too. But it also just seems like it's a little bit lighter compared to the rest of the skin tone here. I'm wondering, and I'm hoping, because when the Beast Gohan figure comes out, if that's more of a powered up version, of that body, I'm hoping, I'll bring this head out so you can compare skin tones again. I'm hoping that will have a little bit of a lighter skin tone, so maybe these faces here will fit on that too. So, and one more time comparing skin tones. I can definitely see it's a little bit, the arm is a little bit darker in person compared to the actual face here. Maybe it would help if I lifted that up. But I look at the neck and I look at this head sculpt here. I really don't think it's that bad of a miss. Again, in person, you'll tell a little bit more. But also, some of you out there might be able to make this not look as glossy, and then this can match with that. But it fits on here, and the proportions for this head are really good to where it fits. It looks like it's actually made for this figure, honestly. Again, art style is a little bit different, as you can tell. And again, I think I've mentioned this already. I do like the the actual colors of how the Tamashii Nations release is done for that Super Saiyan head. But I don't think this one's bad either. This is more of like classic yellow type of transformation hair, I guess. And this is really sick. Is that a splotch or is that just dirt? Yeah, that was a splotch. So yeah, these fit on here pretty well. So fitting this on different heads, it actually won't fit on the 3.0 head here, the full power Goku. You see that? Yeah. So if you want to use it on a body like this, you'll have to make modifications no matter what. So you'll need, probably a dumbbell joint and replace this peg. And 2, you'll need to make sure that it sits a little lower because it looks like it sits up a little too tall on this body right now. Now for Great Saiyaman, I faked it a little bit, but this ball joint is way too big for what we have going on here. So that's unfortunate. We have 2 large and we have 2 small. I do have the Super Saiyan head that came with Saiyaman here though. You can see how some of the hair coloring is a little bit similar, but there's a little bit more shading in the Tamashii Nations version. Mine's a little bit scratched up over the years, unfortunately. I did want to bring out the full power Goku head. You can see that face is pretty glossy, but that hair they're like almost identical to how they've done the approach of painting and some shading there. So that's something I wanted to mention. Overall, I am pretty impressed with this head sculpt set. It feels a lot like Tamashii Nation's quality, honestly. Of course, it's going to look a little bit different than what comes with the Gammas. And the style of how these are done, the particular art style here, is a little bit different to how the normal Ultimate Gohan looks a bit. So that could be a little bit jarring for some people getting these head sculpts. But some people got all three, so it's not going to be that big of a problem. For me personally, it's not that big of a deal that this Super Saiyan head sculpt is different from the normal Gohan heads, the way that they look a little bit at least, because I'm not buying those Gammas, and it's too late for me to do so now. But this is a really nicely done head sculpt with really great face plates. All those different expressions are really nice. The paint on the hair is really great too, and it fits on the body really well. Biggest complaints is that there's a little bit of gappage on the stern face where the ear meets the hair. Skin tone doesn't match up perfectly, but you really have to look hard enough to see the major difference, so it doesn't bug me too much. I think the sculpting on the screaming open mouth face with the teeth and the paint there too could be just a little bit better as well. But these are really well done for this being a third-party release made by basically two people. It is insane how good this is. 35 bucks, $5 shipping as well. But this is sold out on Omnimay Store. That was the only place I believe you can get this. I will leave a link down in the description below where you can find those headsets just in case they eventually do restock. No guarantees, but who knows. Really quick, I just want to mention I will be taking a break from creating content on YouTube and Instagram for a couple months, at least until the springtime, maybe like a month and a half from now. I just need a refresh and a recharge from not only making content, but social media in general. I'll let you guys know when I come back to making content once we get some sweet, sweet pre-orders coming in. All right, thanks, guys. See you later.